Oh, whoa, who dis? Anybody here? Can anybody hear me? Hello, hello. Woo, it's me. How's it going, my friends and viewers? It's the critique stream, which means we get to critique the patrons. And if you too would like your life to be emotionally destroyed by Ursula, check out our Patreon and make sure to link your Patreon with the Discord. It's very important for the whole critique thing to happen. How's it going? Hello, Eleanor. Nice to see you again, as always. I'm just... I finally caught a critique stream. Hello, Junk Pixel. Welcome. Glad you could make it. I'm just sitting here waiting for AZ, if AZ is appearing. I don't know. Ursula's supposed to tell me these things. I know everyone, like, voted on a different day for this to happen. Whoa. Okay. AZ voted on the 23rd, so I'm gonna assume he'll show up. Nice ears. Thank you. I can't really hear the music because my ears are out of the ear thingy. The headphones are purely for show. I forgot that Christmas time, the holiday season, you're allowed to dress like a deer. It's very important as a furry. Ugh. I need to... Wow. Yeah, how's it going? I should sit up. I'm sitting stupid. I'll pull you apart. There, sitting intelligently now, like a scholar. I have a penguin on my shirt. He's the Santa Claus of the South Pole, that is. I got a bird mug. It's got cute little birds with mochi. Penguin sweater. Yeah. I don't know when this is supposed to have started. I don't really check anything, so... Ursula didn't say anything, so that's part of it. These streams are usually like at 12 o'clock, right? Hello, Garden of Helios. I'm in a in a birdie mood. Yeah, I like birds. This is from Berber, I think, on Etsy. They've got like such a cute shop. I would say that I wouldn't recommend getting any of their t-shirts though. They're so freaking cute and adorable. But the printer they go with, like, they fade so fast, and mine already has a hole in it. But everything else is, like, super good quality. I think they just drop ship the t-shirts. Which I understand, but still. I can't usually catch these streams because of work anymore. I love the mug. It's really cute, and the reindeer ears too. Thank you. They've got like the bendable. They've got bones. They've got antler bones. I know the antlers are technically just all bone, but you know. Miku, what are you doing? What are you doing, bub? As opposed to horns, which are not bone. They have horns, they have a bone inside them, they have a little core, but the outside is like keratin, basically, so like fingernails or hooves. It's a similar kind of thing. Whereas the antlers, they grow under like this velvet stuff, and then they die, and the velvet comes off, and it's gory. Yeah. I'm trying to catch my cat. It's just not working for me. Hi, Miku. Do you want to hang out? Do you want to hang out with us? Do you want to be part of the stream, Miku? Everyone loves you. They love your music. Yeah, they love your music. They want to hear you sing. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here! I couldn't get her. I love the mug. Oh wait, I already read that. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. You walk past me. Come here. Sorry for punching the microphone. Miku escaped my grasp. I'm sorry to say. No Miku. We got Lear though. Got Lear, look at him. What a lovely guy. He's such a big fluff ball. A ball of floof. Miku just jumped into the basement. I don't know where Ursula is. You're so cute. You're so cute, little boy. Watch out, Marshmallow. You're a marshmallow, buddy. Here, can I put my headphones back on? I can? Oh my goodness, he's just gonna stay here like a good boy. He's a good, polite boy. I think he's like staring at my antlers, very confused. He's like, what is that? What's on your head, Dad? I don't understand. The one cat I'm definitely not getting is Minoru. Minoru, I saw Minoru today. It's always exciting when I see Minoru. AZ is here. Woo. Okay. Which means I can start. But I probably shouldn't because Ursula's not here, and if I finish, the world ends. So, unless Ursula's here to save the world. I hear her moving. Oh, we have the weird bleep bloop song. What is that song? Early Songster. Ah. Sorry, I shouldn't play your little butt like bongos. Nothing. I was doing like a little like on Lear's butt. Yeah. Ursula's here, which means I can talk. No Russian. Yeah. I don't speak Russian. Sorry, Ursula has to pet Lear. Oh, you can see his little head in the corner here. Yeah. I tried to catch Miku, but she leapt over the... Gone. Oh my god. She, after like doing the thing where she plays hot and cold with you, she like comes up, she's like meh, 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 and you go to touch her or anything, and she runs. Exactly. And then she comes back and she keeps doing it, and it's just so annoying. It's the cat way. She grabbed my butt the other day through the like office chair. She just grabbed it with 2 paws. I was like, excuse me, and then she ran away.
She attacked.
Oh, you can see his little ears poking up.
So cute.
Oh, BRB, for a sec, don't start yet. Okay.
Okay.
We can wait. Ursula's gonna take good care of her voice so that she can record audiobooks tonight.
Exactly.
So Ursula's gonna talk very softly
Very-
today.
Very gently.
Very gentle, yeah, exactly. It's very, very Ursula of her to do. Hi, buddy. What's happening? What's going on? He's my little guy. Oh my goodness, such a little guy.
What a little
such a
boy.
little guy. He's very happy. I don't cuddle him as much anymore because he licks himself very wetly, and I'm very misophonic, so I keep like pushing him away. I keep being like, please leave me alone. I have to wear like noise canceling headphones to be around him sometimes. Poor baby. He's just so wet. Moist, even, some might say. And I just can't do it. I cannot handle a moist cat licking itself. Okay. Whenever they go to leave, I'm always scared they're gonna use their claws to like steady themselves into your leg.
I know.
I hate it when my dog licks herself and the sound is so painful. Yeah, I just can't. He can do it for like an hour straight. And then another cat will sit next to him and then he'll wetly lick them. And I'm just like, I can't do this.
Just dying.
Yeah, the only way I can handle him is if I have the noise canceling headphones on. And sometimes I'm just sitting there and I don't want to get them, so I just put a blanket on top of him and I'm like, just sleep instead of this.
He's usually okay with that.
Yeah, sometimes he continues to lick himself under the blanket though, and it doesn't work out for me. Or he starts licking the blanket. Oh wait, yeah, I shouldn't assume you're back. You said okay back and you spoke in the chat, so yeah, you're definitely back. All right, let's do this. Let's get this over with. I slept in and now I'm awake, and I have a penguin, as we all know, and it looks like I should give him the mic. Wait, oh, there we go. He can talk.
He's got a podcast to record.
It's like a VTuber.
A pingcast.
It's Ursula. Instead of a VTuber, I should just make us a puppet.
Oh my god. Analog VTuber.
Just the old-fashioned way. I can make a Muppet again. I should find my Muppet and show you guys. It's really good.
It's so cute.
We'll be like OG Dan Olsen when he was a Muppet. I remember the days.
Before he became a person.
Before Dan Olsen, foldable human, became a person, he was a foldable human. He was a little paper puppet.
That's so wild.
I know.
Early internet.
Yeah, early internet is wild. All right. We are talking about writing until Ursula shows up on the camera. Then we're talking about art. So I read a thing that AZ sent me. I tried to read it in the shower with my big microphone. Not big microphone. Big speaker, but it did not work.
Oh.
It was very not into that. It just sounded like burp, burp, burp. It sounded like Animal Crossing.
Oh my god.
It sounded like I was reading your book, but an Animal Crossing narrator was doing the audiobook.
Oh my gosh. Imagine, sorry, just for a moment, imagine your comic characters as cute little Animal Crossing guys.
Oh my god, imagine your comic like Animal Crossing narrated.
Yes, and just going.
Yeah, so that didn't work out. So I had to like leave the shower in order to hear what was going on. And once I did, I enjoyed what I was listening to.
I overheard bits of it. It was cute.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was eventually reading it here and I had my headphones on, so I had my speaker pointed into the microphone so I could hear it. It was very fun. And then Ursula was talking to me, but she wasn't talking to the mic, so I couldn't hear her at all. It was great. Oh, if it's ever animated, I'm doing an Animal Crossing version.
Yes.
So
Cute farmers.
it's 12 o'clock, guys.
Alexa, stop. Don't hit her. Just beat it
Oh wait,
to
I
death.
realized people can see what I was doing.
Don't hit the echo dot.
Shut up. That was very grunk of me. Very ooga booga.
Yes. Caveman brain took over.
Yeah, it did. Anyways, I was reading your chapter that you sent me, and it was very good. I thought it was very cute. I thought it was such a good setup. Hunga Bunga Bones, yeah, exactly. I thought it was a great setup to get them together, and yeah, I think it really worked. I think that you asked if Gil opened up too fast, but I don't think so, because there's been like lead up to it, and I think it's actually pretty good here because he's kind of in his element. Sorry, there's something in my eye. Yeah. Definitely had fun writing this chapter for sure. Yeah, but it definitely is like, it feels like everywhere else Gil has been, he's way less comfortable, which makes sense. But this seems just like he's doing his thing, and I could see him being able to talk more, especially because it doesn't like immediately happen. Like he warms into it. Yeah. I don't know what to say bad about it.
You have to say one thing that's bad. Totally.
One sec, I'm just skimming it. At this point, these streams are mostly just accountability for me to keep writing. That's fair.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, why can't he swim? But, like, he does say that he can't swim. I just mentally didn't hear it.
Tuned it out. No, you can swim.
I do think there's a missed opportunity there, because I think there's a missed opportunity for a joke. This is my one complaint. Because, for one, this whole thing starts with him not being able to swim, and it's like, you're a freaking sailor, dude. And then later it's like you can't navigate with the sky, you're a sailor. Like, it happens twice. I just think there's something there. There's some sort of missed opportunity there. Were you not? Do you have any tips for focusing on more than one main character? Dez's cringe fail. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. Yeah, if it's just accountability, I don't have anything to say. I thought it was really good. I think it's a real banger. I feel you on the researching not 1910s or whatever in my case, but like old queer culture. 1920s is bopping, but thankfully I'm not writing in the real world, so I get to make stuff up. Whoa, there's like a cat that just keeps appearing in the background. Why is our camera at a Dutch angle? I realized
it's to make them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's to make you feel uncomfortable while we chit chat here.
Yeah, because our stream is very edgy, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. I've been doing a lot of research this draft and having fun with it. Yeah, it's very fun. All right, then I'm gonna bid y'all adieu. Dutch angle makes you menacing. Yeah, exactly. To feel you a little off kilter. Yeah, I'm gonna hand you guys over to Ursula. How do I do that? I go into... Oh wait, I'm already in studio mode. I never left. So we do the critique one. Whoa. And then I just go... Whoa. Whoa. I'm so good at this now, guys.
Wow.
Oh. Stinky
dear.
Hey.
Yeah. Oh no, I have his phone. I'm gonna text everyone in his contacts and say he's stinky.
You're gonna dox me.
Yeah. To all your family. Oh, okay. Sure, if you want. Why is it at such a Dutch angle? It was not like this when I set it up. Well, that would be why. Because he's tiny and the camera's like... It was not. I never am on camera. Why would it be adjusted to me?
You said you adjusted it for the stream.
No.
Oh.
I didn't.
Okay, then maybe it was just on a Dutch angle.
It was not when I said it. Don't listen to this stinky deer.
Okay, if it wasn't adjusted, how do you know?
Because I was...
I'm not fighting with you.
Oh.
I'm winning. It's incorrect.
It's not a fight. It's a victory. How do I leave streamer mode? Oh, studio mode? Do you just click that?
Yeah.
Cool. Wow, I'm a streamer. Okay. Hi, Rumpeltyltskyn.
Oh, you can tell Nat that everything's good.
Nat, I don't think you're here. Bone says all your dialogue changes were good. Okay, but I can talk about the art. So, I love the cover. I think you've shown, because I know I've seen the sketch for this. I don't know if we saw it all colored before, but I love the color scheme. It's so soft and warm. Even though it has like a lot of green, it's like a lot of warm green. And just like the accent with the pink and the gold is just really nice. I like it. I like it. It's good. Right. Now I remember the only feedback I can remember saying was the one speech bubble. And right, because I was looking at the bird, the echo bird dialogue and talking about the scribble stuff. I really like it here on this page, page 19, where the sketchy kind of outline lines on it feel very, they match like the shape of the bubble. Because I remember that's what I was saying last time, like the shape of the bubble, the shape of the scribble should match the shape of the bubble kind of thing, just to like make it feel a bit more cohesive. I really like how you have it here. And I find later on it's still a little bit mismatched. But again, if you hear that feedback and you're like, no, doesn't match what I want to do, then don't worry. Let me just check your comments to make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, I see. Okay. So, right, because I looked at the first few pages, and then you probably want me to look at the other half of pages. That would be why. Okay. Hum, hum, hum. Yeah, again, I really enjoy the way you're inking these pages. I like how it's your use of... You use these kind of disjointed lines. You'll also do a lot of like double line for a single line, and it just creates like a lot of nice movement. It's very, it has like a very cute feel. Like, I'm sorry, that sounds patronizing, but like, I mean cute in like a good aesthetic way, where like you have such like nice geometric, simple shapes for all your designs and artwork, and then having these very kind of like short, disconnected lines paired with like these double lines, it just adds to that really like simplified feeling. And there's something very like voluminous. The shapes have volume, and I think in part that's a use of the double lines. You've got a good sense of like the foreshortening, and making your shapes feel solid, as well as like where you're placing shadows and stuff. I think it really works in your line work. As for paneling and composition stuff, I didn't find any big issues. I love every time you use like sound effect and typography stuff, like her saying yes. It all works so well. I love the little call outs that you do of like the little construct designs, as well as like character intros. They're always fun. Trying to think. I was looking through this earlier. Yeah, yeah, I love it's the same idea. I mean, and we saw this in your sketches. Like, I love the use of like, the call outs for like character intros, the little construct design things. I love the social media bits, and I like how some of the more negative posts have the little echo bird highlight to them. I think that works really well, and really echoes Alia's feelings. I think the only other part that stands out, in this panel where her friends run in and they say, "Wake up!" I think you could push this call out of them talking, like the actual words. I think you could make it more bouncy, and that could be from like, you could use bubble lettering. You could make these thicker. I don't know. Or you could also use this lettering. I find it's a little thin, and it kind of blends in with the background for me. But that might change once you add in color and everything. But yeah, I wonder if you could make it kind of like bouncy, like they're saying it kind of like sing-songy, kind of happy, if that makes sense. And like you could keep it in this placement, you could keep it at an angle, but yeah, I wonder if just kind of shifting the letters up and down a little bit would help. And yeah, and then I think when oh shoot, what is her name? Orla? Yeah, Orla says it's picnic time. I think you could go back to the thinner type stuff. Oh, pardon me. The thinner lettering. You could still make it sing-songy, but that just depends if that would fit Orla's speaking style. Because I can see her other friend being a little more sing-songy, where Orla's a bit more... I don't know how to describe her, but that doesn't quite fit her character. But otherwise, yeah, it feels great. Yeah, honestly, really great work. I'm very excited to see everything come together more and more. Because like, yeah, as I've said, like as we've looked through your sketches and stuff, your backgrounds are really great. They show like a good amount of detail. They really help with the composition. You're able to fit in like, I don't know, there's so much energy in every page. And even when you have like a page where it's like a lot of dialogue bouncing around, it really works. And I think it's just because you have a really great sense with like composition and everything. And yeah, I think that's all I have. Nat, if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, who would like to go next? I know Rumpeltyltskyn is here. We also have Kuroe and Ink and Pigment. Yeah, let me know. Let me know. You want to go? Okay, I figured because you were here in chat. Chatting it up. All right, so you have 2 picks from Arttober. The last one, so not this one that we're looking at. Is it this one? It's one you did a while back, but you're unhappy with it. You're looking for general critique on the first 2. The last one would be advice on what I did wrong and what makes it look weird. Okay. And the first 2 were done in a couple hours start to finish. And the last one was a few days. Okay. Alrighty. Cool. Okay, so for this first one, it's got a very good sense of movement. Like it, I think part of it is this kind of sketchy outline background stuff you've added, which creates some good, like, kind of like frenetic energy, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's got a lot of good kind of like diagonals across it, where we can follow like the line of his face and the shoulder with the arm, which crisscrosses with like the blade and his thumb. Yeah, it's got a very good kind of like central piece here, and it's a portrait, so you want to focus on the character's kind of like face and pose, right? The line work is very solid. I like how you have used a good mix of some thicker line weights to show shadows, to show that things are overlapping. So for example, like where the coat overhangs on the shirt underneath it, you're using thicker lines. Same with where the arm is overlapping. Things that are closer to the camera, I guess, you're using thicker lines, and the farther away they are, it's smaller lines. And then details within, so like the folds on the clothing, some of the details on the face, the little lines on the lines that kind of denote the shape of the blade. You're using some thinner lines, so I think that's great. Oh, it was a color challenge palette. A color challenge palette? A color palette challenge. Okay, interesting. So it was the green and yellow, I'm guessing? So was it, did you have like the colors, like was it all the colors here, or was it like there's a main color that you have to like kind of like be the hero of the piece? I'm not too familiar with Arttober. It was a pastel palette picked randomly. Okay. Okay. I think despite being very pastel, it's got some good contrast to it. Because you have your green as kind of your hero color, and then you're using your yellow and purple as some good kind of contrasty stuff. So like you've got the yellow of the shirt, the handle of the blade, and then the purple is like really only present on the glove. Maybe a bit in the eyes, though it's a little washed out, but that could just be from like the photo or scan. The eyes are very light blue. Oh, okay, interesting. To kind of match like the blade color. I think it's a very good start for the use of colors. Like I think you've got a good balance between them all. If that makes sense. Like they're not all, the colors aren't equally vying for like space in the composition. You have like a primary color, which I'd assume would be the green because there's so much of it. And then followed by like the yellow, and then the blue and the purple are kind of like highlight colors, and same with like the black from the hair. I think the next step for, if you were like, you know, obviously this is finished, but if you were going to continue with it, I think the next step would be to kind of marry the colors together a little bit more. So for example, like I'd like to see other places where the green plays like the hero. So that could be maybe instead of using a black for the hair, you could find like a way to bring in some of the green as like highlights, like shine in the hair, or as like an undertone for the hair, for example, or bringing it into the background as like a kind of like a more pastel-y version of this green in the background. As well as bringing some of the other colors throughout a little bit more. The yellow is very central, which is interesting because it does bring attention to kind of like the center of the character. But yeah, but just bringing things throughout a little bit more. A good way to think about it from a character design perspective is you want every piece of the character to kind of to feel like they match. So if you cut your character into quarters, you know, would they feel like they all match? I think it's a hard balance because sometimes you want a character to have a more simple design, but I think you can still keep things like simplified but still bring in some details. So you could bring in like I mean, you have some of the silver, like the buttons on the coat, but like even more detail throughout the coat. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'd have to see more of the design. But yeah, just bringing the colors through a little bit more throughout in small details, if that makes sense. And then yeah, honestly, I think the only thing, if you were to take this and continue this drawing, I would bring in more green kind of to the top, because right now it's very bottom heavy with the colors. It's mostly just because like he has black hair, as well as like these very light eyes, and then surrounded by like the white of the paper. Yeah, I think what you could do is just bring in like a wash of green and yellow, possibly kind of around the head to kind of bring a bit more focus to the face. Like even more than you have, because you have the hand and the blade pointing to the face, and it's supported by like the arm kind of like bringing you back in. But yeah, just from the color story, yeah, I think it would need some kind of more color haloing the face to bring you back to it. Yeah. Did you have any questions on this? Was there anything I didn't cover? That's it for that one. Awesome. So this was the other one. So it was these colors. Right. Dripping. Love it. They do got that drip. Okay. So I think this is what I mean, where you've done a very good job of harmonizing all of the colors really well together. You've got a balance between this green, which is used in the background as well as on the skin, and then there's these nice little highlights of this gold color, and then this more kind of like russet red color throughout. And I think it's very balanced that way, where there's really good contrast, because the main color is your green. Then you've got this great contrast color as your secondary color with the red, where it really stands out on this field of green with like the cloak that they're wearing. And then the eyes really pop because it's the red surrounded by all the green. And then this gold yellow color is a very good kind of step in between them, where it has the warmth of the red, but it's still closer to like the green on the color wheel. So it's a really great step in between them. And then contrast wise, I like how you've used this really pale yellow for the hair. Like the hair reads as white, but you've got this like yellow texture tint to it for like shadow and stuff, right? So yeah, and it's married very well, and you've got some nice yellows in like the skin tone as well. It's not just green. Yeah, it's very balanced, and it works very well to kind of like bring you around the composition. And again, you've got great diagonals through the composition. So you've got the shoulders crossing one way, you've got like his glance and like the position of his face crossing the other way. You've got great crisscrosses with the chains and the jewelry. Yeah, great stuff. Very dynamic. Yeah, and it really just brings you in a circle where you follow up the shoulder to the face, and it leads you back down here and then back around, which is just like great composition where you want it to bring you back into the piece over and over again, right? The only thing I think you could possibly add is maybe bringing in, like, I love all the kind of intricate lines within the jewelry, and we see it kind of beneath this shirt or cloak. I'd love to see, it doesn't necessarily have to be these like gold chains, but like it could be some like embroidery or thread work or something, just some details kind of running up the back that kind of match with this gold that's throughout. Yeah, and just bring some more kind of detail into this fabric that he's covered in. Yeah. But yeah, this is fantastic. Also love the pointy ears. You can always win me over with that. Did you have any questions about this? The shirt is a little plain. Yeah, because even just bringing in some fold lines into it, I think would help a lot with just keeping that visual interest. Because you have such nice details around the face. Just needs like a little bit to just bring it in. That's all good? Awesome. Alright, so this was the one you said you worked on for a long time and you don't like the outcome. Can you tell me a bit what you don't like about it? Or is it like you're not sure what feels weird? Because I would find that helpful with like giving critique. Because there's some... So I think overall, like, compositionally, it works very well. The lower face mouth looks off to me. Okay, I can see that. I think color-wise, you've done a very good job with contrast. So you have your character, I forget his name, but the vampire character, where the character foreground is very Ricky, that's it, where the character foreground is very warm. You've got these like very rich, warm reds, these very like warm golds and browns for like the skin and the hair and the eyes. And then the background is very cool and dark in comparison to the foreground. And even though like red reads as like a very dark color, if you were to turn it black and white, red shows as like a darker gray than you'd expect. But because you've made it so like saturated and warm, it still really stands out against this like blue-gray of the background. You've also got pretty good contrast between like the different parts, so like between the shirt and the skin, between the hair and the skin, etc. As well as the foreground and the background. I think the only place it gets a little muddy is maybe like in the hair, where there's places the highlights could be brought in a bit more, but I think overall the contrast works really well. Okay, so as for the lower face, I would agree. I think the jaw is a little bit small compared to the top of the face. And I think the eyes and the eyebrows are a bit big, even for the top of the face. Where I think if you made them a little bit smaller, I think that would help balance it out. And then if you widen the jaw a little bit, so that could make the chin a little bit wider, move the jaw maybe like over here, kind of where the ear is, and shift the ear back a little bit. And then on the opposite side, you need to kind of bring this out a little bit. I think that would help you with the shape of the face to kind of fit all together proportionally. And I think the neck and shoulders would also adjust from there. So I think because the bottom of the face is very small, it made the neck kind of small, and then the shoulders are also very small. Like they fit the proportion of the neck and the lower face, but the top of the face is then too big compared to the shoulders and neck, etc. If that makes sense. I think there's also a bit of an issue with the shoulders where this, the shoulder on the left, I guess his right shoulder, feels like it's facing forward, even though it's like pushed to the background a little bit. But I think that would all be fixed with like adjusting the size of like the shoulder and neck. Yeah. Did you have any other questions on this? Is there anything you're still wondering about? No, I think we're helpful. Aw, well, thank you. And thank you for submitting. Cool. Would anyone like to go next? We have Kuroe, Pigment, and Ink. I don't know if you are all here. If not, I will pick randomly and then you can chat with me later. Ink, I realize I owe you a response. You sent me a DM and I haven't responded. Like a butthead. I'm sorry. But I will. And then if you have questions after this, I can again respond. Okay, maybe I'll go to Ink because I'm calling him out. Well, I'm calling me out on his behalf. Okay. So Ink. Inkluminary. Right, so you've been working on kind of finishing up your comic pages. Main question is, does the new lettering and bubbling system look good? I got feedback from friends and kept the text at a similar sizing and placement, but a more handwritten approach. Interesting. Okay. So I think the sizing is good. Like, it's very readable, because even here, I've got this like compressed down to like a tiny size because I'm looking at it through the drive preview, and I can still read it from where I'm positioned. So I think the sizing is good, because even when you chop it up for webtoon or wherever you're gonna post it, like, I think it'll be very legible even on like a mobile phone. And I think your lettering fits very well into your bubbles. Yeah, and I do like your handwritten typography here with the grunt. And yeah, and I'd be excited to see more examples of like using that big call out. Oh, you got to this quick. Hello. Welcome. Yeah, I was just saying your lettering is a good size, because as you can see, I'm looking at it in a little tiny preview version, and I can still read it from far away. Yeah, your text fits very well into the speech bubbles. I liked the handwritten bit for like callouts, and I'd like to again see that more. Yeah, because there's lots of ways you can use that. You can use that for like sound effects, like the grunt bit. You could use it for like when a character is shouting. You could use kind of like smaller squiggly versions for like whispers or like asides. Yeah, I think there's a lot you can do with it, but it still fits in with like your typical typography that you have going. And I like the use of the square speech bubbles. It fits very well with the like shape of your typography, because like I got feedback and heard this might fit better with the art. Yeah, I really like it. It fits very well. Yeah, because I always give the feedback, like when you're making speech bubbles, like the typical one that's round, like you want the text to kind of like be shaped like a circle. Yeah, where it's very like 1 or 2 words at the top, then more words in the middle, and then 1 or 2 at the bottom. But if you're keeping it very rectangular in its shape, yeah, it really works. It really works for your dialogue, which is great. Yeah, and it very much just fits with your art style, because you have a lot of like because like, for example, if we look at Nat's artwork, it's very rounded off and soft. Like, even like, don't get me wrong, there's lots of like rectangles and geometric shapes and stuff, but like it's all very rounded, and so the round bubbles do fit very well, whereas yours is very it uses a lot more of that geometricness to it. So I do think that the rectangular bubbles really fit in with like your style and the style choices for the comic. The last page is a layer misplace. Okay. Text shouldn't be dim there. Yeah, I figured it was like it got put on the wrong layer. And it was more like atmosphere that would be fixed up later. I love this right here. That is so friggin' cute. Love that little bit. Was there anything else that you were wondering about? I think you're doing a very good job with like the color and atmosphere throughout. Like it feels very moody, which is awesome because that's something that comes through really well with your like your more like either landscape or illustration-y stuff. And so like it comes through really well here where you've got like an establishing shot where you've got these little like spots of light from like windows inside, and then it's more kind of dim and dark and like very cool colored outside. And I'm glad it's still coming through within like your smaller panels. You're not saving it just for establishing shots. Yeah, it's great. The only thing I will say, I think there's some panels with no background. Does it feel really missing for any of these? There's the panel where I experimented with red, where the carriage driver is angry. Right. I like that. It suits the mood, I think. Yeah, because not every single panel needs a background. Yeah, I like how you kind of build up to it too, because you have Abo talking, and then behind him is like all kind of greenish, like the same color as the environment, and then behind the carriage driver, it gets like it's still that kind of like similar color, but it's a little more red, and then finally he like freaks out, and then it's more kind of red and fiery. Where yeah, it feels very emotional, atmospheric, rather than like the actual background, if that makes sense. There's a word for it, but I don't remember it. Yeah, and then little smaller panels like here where Abo says like I like your armor. Yeah, you don't need like a full background for it, and it still makes sense. The only thing I will say, the only panels that stand out to me are these two, where he's running and then stops. It feels a little bit empty around him. That could be easily fixed with just adding a bit more detail like you have in the panels above, or even just some like texture, maybe drawing in some like it could be texture on the ground, it could be like I don't know, some because he's in some alleyways, so maybe some like boxes or pipes or just some little background detail to kind of fill it up a little bit because it feels a little bit empty around him. Yeah, I was thinking of throwing a wall behind him there. Yeah, exactly. Just some sparse detail to kind of fill up the space a little bit. And then here where he's doing this kind of like inner monologue to himself, I think you can keep the dark background. It helps kind of contrast his thought process really well. And it also like fits atmospherically because we do see the dark kind of alley behind him right before it. It works. Did you have any other questions? Anything you were wondering about? That's it. Sounds like progress. Hell yeah. No, you're doing amazing. Good job. Hell yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for submitting. Are Pigment or Kuroe here? Would you like your stuff looked at next? I may go with Pigment next, unless Kuroe arrives. All right, Pigment. So, Right. So you have some new sketches of some comic pages. You're looking for a general critique as well as anatomy issues, especially on the animals. Gotcha. I didn't see anything crazy. You love a deer. Thank you, Nyx, for becoming a deer and going pacha. I think you've got lots of great action scenes going on throughout this. I mean, obviously it's like mostly an action scene, but but there's a lot of just great action coming through. Sorry, I'm not speaking words, am I? Okay, for the action scenes, so up here, you've got a lot of great use of movement for creating flow through the page. The way you framed everything, it feels very... I think that the angles you're choosing for each panel are very dynamic. So for example, this panel, I love this panel where it's like Nyx and the bad guy like facing off and they're about to like smack into each other right in the middle of their fight. Where instead of choosing to do something like from the side where it's very flat, I like how you have it tilted a little bit so that we really feel like they're about to connect. And you know, smash into each other for this fight. It helps that your gesture, especially, I noticed it a lot for the deer and the wolf here. You've got a lot of very strong, like, lines of force, if that makes sense. Like, you've got a really strong line of, like, Nyx's head, like, following along the neck, where it's gonna connect to, like, the antlers and then into the wolf. And the wolf has, like, a very good, like, kind of arch going through it. Yeah, just really nice work with, like, the angles that you're choosing. They're very dynamic, and your use of perspective is also very helpful, like showing the guy being like tossed back and using the leading lines of the perspective to just show like the force that he's moving with. It's a really great touch. Yeah. And using like the twisting of their scrap and connecting it with like the other characters to create like the movement throughout is just, it's really nice. It's got a very good kind of like snaky flow through the page, the way you've set everything up. Yeah, I think the only thing I would say is I think there's places where you need to go a little bit closer. So I think you've got a good balance between like panels where you've got like close-ups. Like I love when he's transforming into the wolf, we get this close-up of him snarling. And then it backs away to kind of show them facing off, and then we get them to like collide. It's like a mid shot, and then it's a close-up of like Nyx pinning him, right? So I think you've got a very good mix between different like close-ups and like pulled out shots to help understand the action, but I think there are places where you could go a little bit closer. So for example, this page here, so you have Nyx and the wolf scrapping, and the wolf's being pinned by the antlers, and then they manage to land a kick and shove Nyx off, and then we see that the wolf has gotten up and is like looking back, and then the other friend comes in to fight. So I love this last panel, and I love the first panel. Those are very good, good sizing and like closeness of camera and stuff, right? Where we get a good sense for like the struggle in this first panel because it's very close. We're really focused on like the wolf struggling against the antlers, and then in this last panel, we're revealing the friend coming in for the attack. So it needs to be pulled out to get the full kind of breadth of what's going on. But I think with these panels in the middle, I think it's just, you could, I think the second panel where the wolf is kicking Nyx works because we have enough information to see like the wolf getting away and kicking Nyx away. But I think this last panel, like it doesn't need to be the same size as the second panel. This third panel can be closer up. We'll understand that like the wolf has gotten up and is looking over his shoulder kind of thing. And I think you don't have to do it all the time, but I definitely think there are places where you can pull in a little bit closer. I think here and there it's a little too focused on like the far away shot. And I think there are places where you need to bring it in more. And I think the reason for that is like there are some places where things feel a little bit empty. So like I love the concept of this page where Nyx transforms and then runs at the guy and then like gets him with the horns, right? And then on the next page he's being like knocked back. I honestly think you could remove this panel, as much as I like it because it is very dynamic and clear. You could get rid of this panel where Nyx is like hitting into him, because I think from like a narrative perspective we can understand like Nyx is the deer goes charging, and then we see the result where he goes skidding across the pavement and then slams into the wall. I don't think we need this panel of like Nyx connecting with him. I think it kind of stops the action. Yeah, so maybe it isn't like a distance camera thing. I wonder if it's just like there's some places where information can be cut without losing like clarity, if that makes sense. If anything, you could flip these. Like maybe instead of having Nyx making contact with him, Nyx could be like bowing ready to charge and he could be farther away and it could be right below Nyx becoming a deer. Possibly, maybe not. It might slow things down a little bit. But I think in this page in particular, there's just so much empty space as well. Where I think there's places where like panels could be bigger, space could be used a bit more a bit more fully, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, and again, I think there's just some places where there's a bit too much negative space. Because, like, for example, this conversation between, like, Nyx and their friend, I think the space is used pretty well. There's some nice little pauses for thought, but I like how just the filled out background, as well as, like, the speech bubbles, it all fills out the space very well. It feels very, like, fully in use. It's got a very good flow to it. It's very understandable what's going on. And even places where there's some kind of, like, empty space, it's very... it's used well. So, for example, like, Nyx is pausing and looking sad, and the friend asks, like, what's that face for? I think having kind of some negative space around it, it helps kind of, like, show that there's a pause in the dialogue. And then once they get into talking, it's a lot more crowded, which works. And this page here where there's, like, the big explosion of what, and then we get to see the background, and it's happening very quickly, so there's not much difference between, like, the two panels. It just shows, like, the roommate stomping back and forth. Yeah, it's just used to a very good, like, the space is used very well. But I find in this page here, where the bad guy is talking to the minions, it just feels very empty. So, for example, like, this character, like, I understand wanting to show, like, a full body of this character, but I think, like, I think we just need it to be closer. There's just so much empty space around them. And you could fill it up with background stuff, but I don't know if that's necessary. It could be this character you just need to show, like a waist up kind of shot, and they're very close and kind of fill up this space, because then we do see her in context with the other characters in an establishing shot in the next page. Yeah, and I think this angle that you have where it's showing the desk from, like, slightly above, from, like, a kind of 3/4 angle, it doesn't have as much impact, I think, as, say, the more straight on shots do. I'm not exactly sure why. I think it makes, because the camera is above them, it just makes them feel kind of small when they're supposed to be more menacing as, like, the villains. So I think the camera angle just needs to be changed a little bit to make them feel more threatening. And then anatomy-wise, the only one, especially with the animals, the only ones I was seeing was with the lions. There's something about the legs that's not quite feeling right on the lion. So, like, here where they're running, the back and the head and the back legs feel good, but there's something off about these front paws. It works great when they're, like, flat on their back. That feels very, like, cat-like. But then when they're standing up again, there's just something very off about, like, the way the paws are planted. I think they just need, like, a little bit more structure. Yeah, I think up here, the legs are just a bit too, like, mobile, if that makes sense. Like, they have a bit too much movement in, like, the paws and the elbows. Whereas, like, back here, it feels a bit more like a cat arm. And then down here, the body feels a little bit squished, and I think that's, like, throwing off the placement of the legs. So I think it just needs to be, like, built up structurally a bit more. But I found, like, earlier on when you were doing the fight between, like, Nyx as, like, a deer and then the wolf villain, it was very... The anatomy was there. Everything felt very structural. It had a lot of structural integrity to it, and there was still good use of like dynamic camera angles and stuff. Like everything felt sturdy and then well placed within the composition. Yeah. As for the humans, I didn't see anything that didn't work. So all good there. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. But I'm gonna move on to Kuroe. Alright, I have character designs and 2 scene drawings, and may I have a general critique? For sure. Okay, so we have Weasel, who is 61 years old and rocking a croc top. A crop top. We love it. Okay. This character feels very wild and cheeky. Partly like they seem designed after like, okay, I know his name is Weasel, but I get like monkey vibes from him. Does that make sense? I think it's the shape of the tail and then the expression. It feels very like mischievous little monkey. But yeah, I definitely get like that warrior feel, that kind of like fighter, maybe a rogue. They just feel sneaky. They feel like a little sneaky rogue who's gonna be doing like acrobatics, and causing trouble. Yeah, I like the use of these kind of like starburst pointed shapes throughout. You've got this like little pattern of like the starbursts on the shirt and the leggings, or I guess the boots, as well as on the pants, and then it kind of works through like these markings that he has, as well as like the shape of the hair. So I think that works pretty well for like a little shape motif. I do find, I think your color palette is there, but it needs to be kind of like shared throughout the design a little bit more. There's a good balance between the gray and the black. So I like the top has the black, then the boots have the black. There's little touches of black through the pants. There's the gray kind of highlights throughout. It's kind of like the main hero color. Because you see it in the tail and the hair and the tattoo or markings, the pants, the boots. That one's really well spread out. But I find these little brown touches, they're very present on the boots. They're present on like the little knife holster, the knife sheath. But it's not present on the top half of the character. There's no brown pieces. You could bring it in. You could bring in like maybe like, I don't know, a belt. You could have maybe some gauntlets, maybe like, I don't know, a hairpiece or something, as in like a headband or a hat or I don't know, a feather, something like that. Jewelry, I don't know. But the brown is missing from the upper half of the character. You could also bring in some black elements into the hair as well and the face. I like the blue. It very much pops against the skin tone and the gray. But again, it's missing elsewhere. So I think balancing those elements out a little bit would really help strengthen the design. Yeah, because I think it makes the character feel very bottom heavy because you have these like a lot of the brown and the black really kind of pull your focus to the bottom instead of like the top half of the character, and I think balancing it out would really help with that. But as for like character expression and pose, like I get this feel of like a mischievous roguelike fella who's going to be bouncing around and causing trouble, especially with that grin. It looks very, very sneaky. Yeah, so that's the vibe I get. Very, very fantasy, I could see them in a fantasy setting, or like a sci fantasy setting, if that makes sense. Like it's fantasy, but it's also kind of like futuristic-y. Yeah, that's the vibes. Okay, so then these illustrations that you're working on. Yeah, I love the atmosphere in this one. I love the use of the lighting where everything's very backlit. And then the darker colors are really in the shadows and foreground. It feels like this character is like stepping into a dark, enchanted forest, where we see this like golden sunset behind them and they're going into the dark. And they have this expression of like curiosity. That is very interesting. I love the backlighting that's used, how we get these little glints of like gold that we see like shining on the shirt and haloed around the hair especially. And even though the front of the character is shadowed, there's still some good use of highlights so we can understand the features of the character. I'd like to see... I find things get a little lost around the middle of the character. So, like, I love how you have this, like, white-gray hair that's all haloed, and it's got all these details, and we've got this, like, shadow spreading out around them. But here... I think the rim light could be more dramatic. Yeah, definitely. This middle here, I'm not sure if it's, like, his hair is, like, covering the space behind the arms, or if it's, like, part of this shadow that they're stepping into. I think it could be more clear if we had maybe some more of this, like, white detail if it is the hair. If it isn't, I'd like to see more of the background detail behind them. It just makes things feel very flat, kind of right behind the character. And I think there could be a bit more shadow kind of like central to the character, because if the light is coming in from behind them and we're getting the highlights like at their sides, I feel like, because you've done well with the face where it feels very shadowed, especially like towards the bottom of the shape of the face. And then down here at the bottom on like the pants and the hands, it feels very bright. I feel like it needs the same treatment as like you have above around the face. And yeah, and there would be more shadow kind of like down the middle, as the light like kind of curls around them and then hits the shadow in the middle, if that makes sense. Yeah. The face is rendered sharp and then the rendering gets soft in the middle. Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah, bringing in some more of that detail work into like the shirt and stuff. Though it might be hidden if you're adding in more shadow. But yeah, but where you can, keeping the detail that you have in the hair and the face like throughout, I think really works. And then keeping the background more fuzzy to really like focus on the character. I think I'd also like to see, so here on the right side, you have this very like kind of curved like atmospheric effect. Like the shadow is kind of like curving in and like altering the background. It feels like it's kind of bending reality, if that makes sense, and curling around the character. And then on the left side, it feels very like kind of spiky and a bit more kind of like straight lines and jagged. I'd kind of like to see more of that curling effect where it feels like they're being enveloped by it and really like melded in with the trees, kind of like you have it on the right side. like blending in a little bit. I do like that there's a bit more light on this side because we can tell like the sun is coming in from over here. So like, but I think, yeah, just the shadow needs to be melded into like the snow and the trees a little bit here to really like make it feel cohesive. And you could even curl some of these shadows like around the hands and the bottom of the legs, if that makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, I love the movement. I love the atmosphere and lighting stuff you're doing. I like the texture too. I think that's very cool. Yeah, it creates just like some nice little detail and mood with the kind of green texture you got going on. Awesome. So then the last one. This one feels almost like it's drawn with marker. I think it's because, yeah, you're using like a paper texture on it. But it feels like kind of a marker drawing, especially in the background more than the character. Which is neat. It's a neat effect. Okay, so compositionally, I don't think it's as strong as your other one. The background has a lot of interesting detail going through it, where it's just got so much intrigue to it. Because I'm like, what are these big structures? Are these like, are they inside? Is this a like, are these skyscrapers? Is this inside? Like, what kind of structure is this? It creates a lot of like visual interest that way because it's so dark and cool, like cool toned. And I'm very much, my eye keeps going to like right here, where we're seeing this like structure kind of leading off into the dark. It's almost like a roadway or something, but I'm just like, what's going on over here? Where I think it's swallowing up your character a little bit. Like color-wise, they do contrast because you've got so many cool colors in the background and then you've got these warm tones on your character. But they're just so low in the composition that they feel very like swallowed up by the scenery. They're not really like in a focal point, because if they were more central and kind of taking up the center of your piece, you could kind of like form everything around them. But I find they feel just pushed to the bottom. You could also put them on this like focal point where you have these leading lines leading to them. I honestly wouldn't really move them over to the right side because I think they'd get swallowed up by these buildings and the visual interest is really over on the left. So yeah, I think if you made them like bigger and filled the focal point a bit more and had these leading lines kind of like pointing to them, I think that would strengthen the composition quite a bit. Yeah. I get a very villainous vibe from this character. They feel like a villain who's like overlooking something they're running, or like they're about to like sneak into like a big compound or something. Yeah, and I think also making the character bigger would help with some of these nice little details, because I love the detail you have on the hair and the face and the expression and this little like fox earring. Again, that gives me kind of like spy vibes. I don't know. Like a crafty character. Just because they're so pointy. But yeah, but they're being swallowed up by the composition. I want them to be the star. Yeah. I think you've done a good job with like, even though the character has very like warm tones, which helps contrast wise, because like I said, the background is all cool colors. Exactly, a sneaky little guy. The foreground is all warm, or sorry, the character's all warm colors, the background's all cool colors, but they still have the same kind of like color profile to them. Like he feels like he belongs in the world because he have these cooler shadows. The hair is a good bridge between like the warmth of the skin and the eyes and the shirt to then like the more kind of greeny blues, but it still has warmth to it. And then same with the pants as well. Like it's a good, the colors fit in really well to the atmosphere. And yeah, I'd like to see more of him. Make him big. Make him a big boy. Yeah, and there's some good contrast going on as well. I think again it could be improved by moving the character over, because then you'd have this very kind of like lighter colors surrounded by like a more dark field. But yeah, I think otherwise there's great contrast going on, and I think you're doing a very good job with like building atmosphere and blending your characters into your backgrounds. And like I said, yeah, I really like the vibe of this kind of like marker artwork, like aesthetic. It's cool. It reminds me of like early aughts manga drawings. I also like I might tone it down a little bit, like make it a little bit thinner and maybe soften it up a bit, but I do like this kind of dodged out effect around them. It does help make them pop. I think it could be a bit more subtle, but I like the use of it. Yeah, I think that's it. Well, Kuroe and Pigment and Nat, if you have any questions, please let me know. I will answer. And to everyone else, happy holidays. Hope you're having a good day. Take care. And be good to yourself. All right. Goodbye.